it's been a little while, guys, and my face is fat. Super Bowl 59 has concluded, and thankfully, as a Broncos fan, the Chiefs lost. Sorry to the three-peat, but not sorry to the dynasty. You'll be fine. And of course, there's always that one friend at the party to point out that they're just there for the commercials. But as a commercial filmmaker myself, I thought it would be fun to walk through a few of the commercials from Super Bowl 59 this year, talk about a few of my favorites, a few of my least favorites, and give them some completely unnecessary awards. The LOL award goes to Kiss from a Lime, starring Seal. Yes, this Mountain Dew commercial was not everyone's favorite, but it was the only commercial that actually made me laugh out loud. The CG was horrendous, and I think it was intended to be that way, but also just putting a human face on a seal, it was so goofy it was funny. And yeah, there's been some memes of, the ad execs saying, now hear me out, how about seal is an actual seal? But it's actually funny. And the thing about it that appealed to me is that it was very stylized. They went for a particular look. It kind of felt like a karaoke, sort of like something on a TV during a karaoke song. It takes a really good sport and probably a lot of money to convince, or for Seal to agree to completely rewrite the lyrics to his song for a Mountain Dew commercial. And it's kind of his song, his hit song. And I'm always a fan in commercials, and I guess just film in general, when a celebrity is willing to poke fun at themselves and be a good sport. Again, yeah, the money probably helps, but I did enjoy that one. That one was pretty fun. The Whoops Award goes to the Pringles mustache commercial for coming after the Little Caesars eyebrows commercial. That one actually did make me laugh a little bit, but I'm just a huge fan of Eugene Levy, and it was a Little Caesars commercial for their, like, whatever, ding-dongs of pizza. But, he likes it, his eyebrows pop off and they fly away, and that was, it was gross seeing Eugene Levy with no eyebrows, but it was also, equally gross seeing his eyebrows fly around. It wasn't particularly creative to have his eyebrows fly off, but it was fun. But the bummer was that, I don't know how long it was, maybe about halfway through the game, you had the Pringles mustache commercial of people's mustaches flying off of their faces and attaching to other people's faces. And I'm always curious, because I'm not that in tune with the inner workings of sort of like the bigger agencies that work on these, but did they know? Was it completely secret? Because I know these things get out, but I guarantee you that if Pringles knew that Little Caesars was doing this and they knew what block they had purchased in the Super Bowl, then they would have absolutely changed creative. It's probably way too late, but that's the thing. I'm used to shooting a commercial with really quick turnaround. These guys are shooting their commercials, 6 months, 8 months in advance, and the creative probably being written a year or so in advance, which is why some of these commercials surprise me with how bad and lazy they were, because you have so much time and you don't spend millions of dollars on the slot itself if you don't have something locked down, at least I would assume. But again, I work for myself. I've never worked for Goodby Silverstein, but it was kind of a bummer that a very similar commercial came before the Pringles one and kind of took the air out of it, but all's fair in love and advertising. The Meh Award goes to Totino's Pizza Rolls, the Chasmo E.T. spoof. Now, I love Sam Richardson and Tim Robinson. Detroiters is hysterical. If you haven't watched it on Netflix yet, absolutely do. And of course, I think you should leave. And all the things that they've been doing together for years and years and years. So funny. But this one from pizza rolls from Tostitos. Is it Tostitos? Totino's. Oh, Totino's. They helped build the music center where I went to college. This one was absolutely lazy. It felt like something that either was developed so hard by committee that it just turned into a boring mess, or it was something that nothing had been working up to that point and they just went with it. The set was very controlled, very small set. I mean, it had the spaceship kind of, the legs. There's some alternate versions of the commercial that you can see like the legs, but it was very clear. It was kind of just 2 lighting setups, 2 cameras, 2 camera angles. I mean, of course they did some punch ins and stuff, but I mean, it was just, it was pretty lazy and seemed like it was pretty quick. Cause I've been there. I've had to, well, I mean, I've shot commercials in, like 6 hours or whatever. And with that were kind of complicated. So I could see that this probably was sort of like last minute. And the creative itself, I mean, it's like, come on, it's an alien leaving everyone sad, and then his doors kill him. So they're all like, I didn't really know him. Let's go get some pizza rolls. It was pretty lazy, especially considering who you had there. So I hope they didn't help. Hope Sam and Tim didn't help write it. If they did, sorry about this, but it felt rushed. It felt lazy. It was kind of funny, but I saw it on TikTok 3 days before, which also is a strange thing about Super Bowl commercials nowadays, is they show them on social media days in advance. It doesn't make any sense. And the On Brand Award goes to Bud Light's Neighborhood Parties. So it's very clear when you see a brand from a marketing, from an image standpoint, trying to regroup a little bit. There was nothing wrong with Bud Light's creative or anything like that. I think before and sort of during the Dylan Mulvaney incident, which was not even like a big deal, they gave an influencer who has a bazillion followers a Bud Light can with, their image on the can. But it blew up into something much bigger because then the brand, people dug into the conversation that the brand executives, people in charge of things like that, were having about trying to move away from their demographic. And it blew up in their face. A lot has been talked about it. We don't need to get into it, but you're seeing this complete shift to just bros, lawn parties, not even like masculine. Like I don't consider Post Malone a particularly masculine guy, but it's a totally different vibe than what it sounded like they were thinking about going down. And this commercial wasn't particularly funny. It wasn't actually particularly well written. It was just like Peyton Manning said something like, how many Bud Lights does this thing hold? And Shane Gillis, I think, says enough. Or it's like, okay. I mean, I just felt like the writing was very lazy. And I'm a huge fan of Shane Gillis. I think he's hilarious, but he seemed flat, didn't seem that engaged. It almost was like they had him in post improvising as well, which didn't seem to really gel. But either way, it was fun. It was funny to a certain extent, but more so for anyone who kind of follows the trends in creative and advertising and things like that, you can see that this was a very clear attempt to shift back into a more traditional Bud Light vibe. And the Nostalgia Award fittingly goes to 2 things: the Budweiser first delivery commercial and Hellman's When Sally Met Hellman's. Iconic Clydesdale baby pony pushing the keg to the bar. I mean, that's what I want creatively from Budweiser. It doesn't have to go crazy or be particularly inventive. It's just show us the dang horses, have a cute horse do something adorable and save the day. But that's what we want, I think, from the Budweiser type stuff, especially around Christmas. Just give us the dang horses. And then it was fun to have the revisit. I'm surprised that it took this long to do a commercial version of When Harry Met Sally, but the money must have been finally just right. And it was fine. Again, not particularly funny because it was just a remake of the scene of her doing all the same noises, but it was a sandwich. But, brought back memories, brought back nostalgia, and it was a nice twist to have Sydney Sweeney give the iconic line there at the end. So, fun, funny, nostalgia. The Lazy Award goes to the Doritos abduction commercial. Now, I'm sorry. I know that this is a fan submitted commercial, but I think we've seen aliens trying to steal food or steal something, some product, and then the beam of light pulling it and maybe hurting a person in the process. I feel like we've seen that about 1,000 times in commercials. So I didn't particularly think it was that creative. And again, I know it's made by just, some fans, some filmmakers, not just, but because it was obviously very well made in terms of production value. But it was obvious to my eye as a filmmaker that it was it was a very teeny weeny set. And so they, probably had just a little bit of space to shoot it and did all that. So kudos to them for getting it done and for actually and for winning. But I've not seen the other Doritos spots that were submitted, but I have a feeling that maybe there might have been one or two in there that made a little bit more sense. But hey, it worked. It was fine. Not overly creative or innovative, but hey, sometimes just got to do what works. The award goes to the flag football commercial from the NFL. Stylistically, I love doing 80s style stuff because it's just fun. It's just fun. I think it might be a little bit overdone at this point, but I've worked with a ton of people who want to go in that 80s sort of direction. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, a little overdone, but this was fun, and I was excited about it because it looked great. It looked like a show it looked like Saved by the Bell at first, and it was fun. But then it became very clear that it was just girl good, white boy bad, and so it's just all of a sudden. So now you're just sucked into that world. The production value was fantastic. The cameos were cool with the different football players and Pat McAfee. Like, that stuff was super fun. But anyways, it's such a tired trope. I mean, even like the Nike commercial kind of had that a little bit of like, they say I can't, so I can. At what point in time are we just gonna build people up? Like, just build them up. We don't have to tear other people down. We don't have to say jock bad, girl good. We don't have to tear people down to lift other people up. What's that old saying? You don't have to blow up my candles to make yourself shine brighter, or something like that. But that seems to be the trend, is like the only way for us to make marginalized or minority or whatever people shine is by tearing other people down. And that's not the case at all. And this leads me to this. As a filmmaker and as somebody who has championed people, the casting of people who wouldn't traditionally be cast in certain roles, and have cast that way myself a number of times, and in my opinion, and I'm tooting my own horn here, but really uplifted minority actors and uplifted maybe women into a role that was meant for a man or whatever over my career, I have to say I'm very, very, very disheartened and disappointed by something that I read on Instagram this week from Adweek. Now, since this is something that I do, for my career, I follow Adweek very closely because I like to see the trends, see what's going on. And on their Instagram page this week, they posted this. So many white men appeared in Super Bowl 59 ads. Following it up with a graphic showing the share of Super Bowl ads by actors' skin tone. Now, not race, not nationality, not nation of origin, not ancestry, by skin tone. Now, there's no mention of gender, sex, anything like that. This is just about too many white men. And I want to approach this with a tremendous level of respect and calm. But Adweek in this post is reducing incredibly talented and skilled men, people, actors, to their skin tone. Again, not where they came from, not where they were born, nothing, but simply by how dark or how light their skin was. Does anyone else see this as a problem? When I was in my 20s, I went to India for about 6 weeks, and I actually experienced racism. It was scary. And so from that point on, I feel a particularly unique perspective on what it meant to live somewhere or be somewhere where you didn't necessarily feel welcomed or where you felt marginalized, outcast, and spending time around people who literally see you as less of a person because of the color of your skin. And in this case, in India, the darker you are, the less of a person you are. And it's just an accepted fact of life. So a post like this in Adweek disgusts me and frankly comes across as pretty racist. The post continues, the list of famous white men who appeared in ads during Super Bowl 59 is long, and it continues to list all of these men, and then it says, the shift in more light skin tones appearing in Super Bowl 59 comes at a time when companies are rolling back their policies to advance DEI in the workplace. Nevertheless, experts say brands that feature diverse people in their marketing campaigns are more likely to gain loyalty from viewers of a similar background compared to those that don't. What the f*** do you know about my background? Nothing. You don't know where my family came from, what they endured to get to the United States. Neither do you know that about anyone else. This is an absurd reduction of people with very special skills. These actors, these white actors, bring something to the table or else they wouldn't have been cast. People like Glenn Powell or Shane Gillis or Post Malone, these people, Matthew McConaughey, bring something to the table. They bring cachet. Everybody loves Matthew McConaughey. It's called advertising. You get the most famous person you can at the price that makes the most sense, and you sell your product. You shouldn't be bothered by how many white faces you see on commercials, just in the same way that you shouldn't be bothered by how many white faces you don't see in the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. It doesn't matter. It's speaking to a point. It's speaking to a product. It's speaking to a particular sense of art. And frankly, we are reducing the dream that children would be seen for the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. That ideal and that dream is being destroyed because all we're talking about in an article or in a Instagram post like this is skin tone. And again, not race, not religion, not nationality, not background, not family. Skin tone. We need to rethink the whole direction of how this is going and really take a look at whether this is the best way to think about art and entertainment and advertising. Is it the best way to look at representation? Because I think the more we talk about it in a negative light, the more divisive things will become. I don't know how to get there or how to make it right so that everyone is happy, but I just don't know if we're doing it right now. I know what kind of comments I'm going to get, and that's okay. But I'm concerned. I hope you're concerned, and I hope that we can all work together to make it a much, much better thing.